Greetings, I'm Antar, and I want to tell you the story about the moon colony, the human moon colony. But I'm going to name this video Plymouth Moon Colony. When I was in LA, in Los Angeles, I was attending UCLA, and I was teaching a sitar class, teaching people to play the sitar. And we had a row of sitars hanging from the wall. They would come in and they would play. And there were a few advanced students I was teaching them. It was really very gratifying for me to sit down and teach that wonderful music in a establishment place like UCLA, University, California, Los Angeles. So after I'd finished my courses and stuff, I was there, and I got into the movie business. And I started working as an extra, or they call them a background artist. Now, extras are like, if you see a movie and they're shooting inside a department store or something, and there's all these people milling around, those are not customers. Those are not real customers in the store. They can't legally just shoot people anywhere, So they hire extras, And when they say, rolling action, and extras start moving around. And it brings the scene to life, So I was working as an extra, and it got to be like 5 days a week. And then I got into a calling service. Used to be when you go on an extra shoot, and we didn't have cell phones then. This is in like 1987, maybe? 1987. There would always be someone, a woman usually, at lunchtime on a payphone, and she's got a list of her friends, trying to book them for tomorrow. That one of those ladies started her own service, a calling service. And so you'd be working a show. I used to work Murder, She Wrote, Matlock, Houston Nights, and I was in movies, Die Hard 1, Twins, Guilty by Suspicion, Thelma and Louise. That was fun. So you'd be working as an extra, and the call lady would fax all the names of people that we were paying her $50 a month or something. She'd fax those names to the breakdown service. And, the breakdown service would have, okay, we have this shoot tomorrow and we need 28 extras, upscale casual, And she would call you on the phone, and she'd leave the message on the answering machine. Antar, we want you on Houston Nights tomorrow. 6 a.m. call, and you're a detective, and it's upscale casual. So that was cool. You come home, you know where you're going to work the next day. I was working 5 days a week. So it was like a different set every day with the same people, because we got to know each other, all the people that were with that calling service. So, to get to the point of this video, there was a guy who was producing a pilot. A pilot is, you make like a long episode of a TV show, if it's TV pilot, and you run it by the powers that be and hope that this is going to be a TV show. So this guy wrote this pilot, and he directed this pilot, and he produced this pilot with his own money. and it was called Plymouth, which was the name of a moon colony. These were Earth people living and working on the moon. And the guy hired 3 sound stages at Culver Studios to do this, So I worked it a couple of times. And sometimes when you're an extra, you get what they call a silent bit. You actually do something instead of just milling around, and you get paid extra for that. So they had this scene, wonderful scene, okay? So we're on the moon colony, right? We're supposed to be on the moon. And we go into this place, it was the spaceport. And there was this big rising thing. And this is where the rocket ships from Earth would come and they would land on that. And more colonists would come out. Now, that rocket ship in this scenario only comes once every 5 years. So we were all these colonists. We were like, the people that were coming were loved ones, like wives and brothers and sisters and mothers and daughters and kids. We haven't seen them in 5 years. So the way it goes is, I'm down below and the ship is up on this platform. There's a guardrail going around and people are coming out and they're hanging onto the guardrail. And all of a sudden, I see my beloved up there and she's hanging onto the guardrail, and I haven't seen her in 5 years. So I'm really excited and I wave, "Hi, beloved," and she takes her hand off the rail and she waves back. And this is, maybe she's never been to the moon. She's not accustomed to the low gravity on the moon. So she takes her hand off the rail and she goes flying in the air and she wafts gently down into my loving arms. Oh. So we shot that scene. The woman who played the woman was actually a stunt woman, and she did that on a wire. So she's on a wire, and she actually floated down to the floor where I was standing. And then, these are different camera shots. They turned around, and we're shooting her from behind my back. And she's just like gently going down into my arms. So what they did is they put her on a winch, right? They had a winch there, and they made it go down like that. So, and then of course they pasted the shots, So it was wonderful, She's hi, and she lets go, and she flies down gently, gently, gently into my arms. And they cut to from behind my back, and then they cut again, and I'm going, see you in 5 years, whatever. And they wanted, before we did the shot, they wanted the stunt woman and myself. They wanted us to hang out, get to know each other a little bit, and we had lunch together. And she was a pretty serious, professional young woman, and she did a fabulous job. So Plymouth, the moon colony, And if the pilot had succeeded, which it didn't, that poor bastard, he must have lost a lot of money on that. Because that was a very elaborate pilot, with probably film length. And it didn't go. But if it had gone, I might have had a role on there, So I just told you the story about Plymouth, the moon colony, and how I came to pick up my beloved, and she flew in the air and landed into my loving arms. Thank you. Ciao.